What is up, guys? It's your boy Void here, and welcome back to part 2 of my series in Ark Scorched Earth. Please make sure to show some support to my channel. Let's get down to the video. We start off this banger of an episode by gathering some much needed narco berries, which is used to craft narcotics, and then in turn it's used to craft trank arrows or trank darts. After that I crafted up a bunch of narcotics. After doing some renovations to my base, I proceeded to learn all the desert cloth armor engrams. Next, I headed over to the smithy to see what was required of me to craft desert cloth armor. So I needed hide and silk. After getting the materials I needed, I crafted up a set of desert cloth armor. And let me tell you, it felt so good to no longer be naked. After that, I was tired of the durability of my primitive weapons, so I crafted up a metal axe as well as a metal pickaxe. Next, I set out to find a morella tops, as they are good for both gathering berries and they also store water, which I can replenish my water from. Once the morella tops was unconscious, I proceeded to place some major berries in its inventory and wait until it would wake up. A few moments later, it woke up and it was mine. After proceeding to leave the morella tops towards my base, I did have some difficulty, however, getting it inside my dino gateway. So, I learned the morella tops engram for the saddle, and then next I gathered some of the necessary materials to craft it. So once I crafted the saddle, I placed it on the morella tops, and it still didn't want to move. Dang it! So after that, I destroyed some of the dino gateways, pumped a few stats into its weight, and finally got it inside. After that, I rebuilt the gateways and took the morella tops out for a spin, and boy oh boy, not too bad. She actually harvests even better than my parasol. I have a feeling that future narcotic making will not be a problem from this point until the end. Next, I had a second go at taming this Procoptodon, and yeah, I'll just let you guys see what happens next, I guess. However, I had forgotten that when you knock out a dino in water, it drowns.
It was at this moment he knew. He messed up.
I had felt so stupid at this point. After that, I sat there for a few moments recontemplating my life decisions. So I couldn't ponder anymore about the stupid kangaroo, so I set out to find a Lymantria. So once I did find a Lymantria, I bowled it and began tranking it. For some odd reason, this Morellatops and Terrorbird decided to bring their fight over to my unconscious Lymantria. So yeah, I kind of thought that she was a goner at this point. By some miracle, my Lymantria had survived. After the Lymantria had tamed up, I led it back to my base and decided I needed to craft its saddle, so I gathered some chitin, and while gathering chitin, I came across a Doedicurus, so I decided to knock it out and tame it. Once it had lodged itself between a tree and a rock, I knew this thing would be out in no time. Once the Doedicurus was knocked out, I shoved some berries in its ass and proceeded to wait until it was tamed. When the Doedicurus was all tamed up, I began the long, tedious journey back to my base. I say long because this thing is hella slow, so I took the liberty of speeding up the clip for you guys. Once the Doedicurus was safely in my base, I gathered some fiber to craft up a Lymantria saddle. And it felt absolutely amazing to finally take flight for the first time in this series. I had also after learned the engrams for the Doedicurus saddle. After that, I crafted up a Doedicurus saddle, placed it on my Doedicurus and took her out for a spin, and I got a heap amount of sand. Once I was done harvesting sand, I took my Lymantria out as I saw there was a white drop near my base, so without a moment's waste, I rushed towards it. And to my surprise, it was garbage. After that depressing white drop, I decided to go harvest some cactus sap, which would be used to craft clay. Next, I decided to place down a few more mortar and pestles as it would drastically increase my narcotic and clay production. Once I was done with the mortar and pestles, I began crafting some adobe structures to replace for my wooden structures. Then I headed out on a metal run in the middle of the night. And it was both scary as well as rewarding because I got a truckload of metal. Once I arrived home, I began placing my metal ore in the forge and began smelting it immediately. In the morning of the next day, I had an amazing idea to head out and tame an Argentavis. Whilst on my journey, I was fortunate enough to come across an explorer note. After that, when approaching this mountain, I had high hopes that at the top of it there would be crystal, as I would need it to complete my desert cloth armor. After searching a bit to my delight, I had found myself some crystal. When I did finally find an Argentavis, a UT came out of nowhere sending me packing away, so I decided to head to another nearby white drop, and again it was shit. So I eventually found another Argentavis and I decided to build up a trap. However, if you've been watching this video and the previous one, you'll know by now that when I try to do something, things tend to go the other way. Once the Argentavis began to torpor run, I started to regain some of my lost hope. As always, I shoved some meat up its ass and began to wait for it to tame up. Once my new RG had tamed up, I began leading it all the way back to my base. So, once I was finally back at my base, I tried to get some work done when my Jerboa signaled another upcoming storm. So, for some reason, my tent had vanished, so I placed another one down and began to wait. When I saw the trees blowing, I knew it was coming soon, but it wasn't quite a dust storm, but rather a heavy thunderstorm was approaching. So I thought it was dangerous, so I went back in my tent, and then I was like, no, well, I'd rather just enjoy it. I mean, it's just a thunderstorm, right? After the storm had subsided, I had decided after that to place down some adobe foundations. Next, I headed out on an expedition in search of megatheriums and thylers, as thylers would prove to be very useful for cave expeditions. I came across a mating pair of megatheriums. However, I decided not to tame these megatheriums as I would try to find a better level. Which led me soon after to find a semi-decent level thyler. I used the cliff to my advantage and then I proceeded to pump this thyler full of trank arrows. So once the thyler was knocked out, I shoved some cooked meat up its arse, and after a few moments of waiting, it was mine. However, on my way home, this happened. Not only did my Thyla end up fighting two Arthurs, it also somehow got lodged between two rocks. Speak of happy coincidences, I ended up finding a male Thyla. So first, I got my Thyla out of the little predicament that he was stuck in, and then after, I proceeded to try to tame the male Thyla as well. Once the second Thyla tamed up, I had realized that I had a mating pair of Thylas, so I could breed them for cave expeditions at my disposal. So I made it my mission to get these Thylas back home safely. Once the Thylas were secured back in my base, I realized that I was only level 50 and I needed to get to level 51 just to unlock the engram for the Thylas saddles, in which I would proceed to do in the next episode. The last thing I decided to do this episode was to craft the final piece of my desert cloth armor. You see, when I told you I needed crystal, it was actually for the helmet. The only thing I needed was silica pearls. So, I thought to myself, where would I get it? And I remembered there was a little river right next to my base. So, I dove into the river and collected some much needed silica pearls. And now I was fully kitted out. This concludes the second episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And leave a comment down below for all my new dinos' names. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Bye guys. Say bye, little rat.